It's prepared. Content meeting pin. I think we might need one of these welcome videos to help us out.
Okay.
We're live. All right, Mr. Sylvester. Morning, sir.
Very good morning.
Yeah, I think our members have started coming in.
Okay, that's good.
It's been a great week, huh? How has your week? What happened? What did you hear? What's going on?
Mm, well, I wouldn't say the week, but I've talked to a few people, and I don't know, the economy is very interesting. Talking to people, you see, like statistically, there's a different story, like something good is going on. But when you talk to people are feeling more like there's still a continuous downturn in the economy. Like a lot of people don't feel quote unquote good.
Hmm.
People don't feel like they are getting better or getting ahead. Uh, and it cuts through a lot of industries. The one that has really surprised me is that even some government departments, especially states, are
Hmm.
even cutting down on overtime and stuff like that, which is never a usual thing. Yeah. The state is hardly ever too sensitive uh, about costs. And then looking at it, if it's that way, before like government efficiency programs begin,
Hmm.
how is it going to be after that?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yes.
those are some of the questions that I I struggle with. And yeah, what did you hear? What's going on your side?
I mean, a couple of things, but as a financial advisor, you could talk to people about best ways to survive in this new economy coming up, because you already know that it's going to be mostly about trying to make money and try to eliminate some of these government programs that they have going on that they feel is taking too much of the United States money, and they want to reallocate it somewhere else. I don't know if that's going to help in the long run. We just want to make sure we don't go into some kind of well, before I say it, the way the country is right now, there is and the country United States, right? There are a lot of things that are helping people right now to continue going. No one is in a heart attack shock or anything when we had compared to 2008 when we had a recession, because that was such an extreme thing that happened. And my prayer is that this new administration wouldn't make any mistakes to go into that, because if that happens, a lot of things are going to be impacted. And I'm going to be speaking in terms of what we have as Africans and how it's going to benefit us. As you know, we are basically known to do our work, go home, go to church. That's it. We don't have the habit of trying to capitalize in every single thing we do. We just want to work, go home, spend time with the family, call people on the phone, check on how people are doing. I think the new America now is about trying to maximize every single thing you're doing, from the coffee you drink, how you can tax it, make it the tax deductible, to the gas you put in your car, to opening up a business to use that as a tax incentive so you don't have to pay too much taxes because you're going to expense it to in the name of your company using it for business purposes, right? Um, but not just that, coming together to uh, buy a lot of assets and build real estate portfolios that will help in an eventual growth. I don't see our people trying to do things like that. So if you don't have that on the back of your head, then an economy that becomes shaky, like what happened in 2008, if they lay you off, then you don't have anything else really to hold on to. Then you're really in trouble. Because, like last time when it happened, a lot of people lost their house. The housing market was, a lot of people lost their homes. The housing market was really bad, right? Because you don't have a source of income. You know, these days you have to be creative. You cannot just depend on your 9 to 5 because 9 to 5 is for an economy that is steady. You could already see a gradual process. Right now, money making is going into different sectors that are not really going to be what is in the current administration. So, for example, Bitcoin just hit $100,000. How many people really have Bitcoin today, especially Africans? Minorities. We're not really concerned with that. We really want physical money, physical, tangible assets that we can use to buy our goods. So if we are pouring money into Bitcoin and the average American, African, is not even concerned with that. When it's time for the trade to be done, let's say with Bitcoin, because people use Bitcoin to do other trades. That time comes, you won't have it because you're not even thinking in that area to even have a stock portfolio, stocks and ETFs and mutual funds and all that stuff. Because it's not how we have been designed to think about how to grow our money. We really haven't been taught how to grow our money. We've been taught to make money. You can make all the money you want. If it's not growing, doesn't matter because the dollar you found a way to make next year is not going to be worth what it was worth the year before. So if you're making money and your money is not growing for you haven't accomplished anything really, right? The guy who maybe made the money 10 years ago and that money has been growing for him, he's better off than you. Because I mean, I don't remember, it's been a while since and I'm saying this, but it shouldn't be something we should be depending on. When you have the minimum wage reluctantly just going up, barely, that means that somebody who learned how to make their money grow, let's say maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, their money is way more than what even if you're still making minimum wage or maybe 10% more, it's not in comparison. So we need to learn. And when I say we need to learn, it's an every time same talking point. We need to hang around, be with people who are going to teach us how to grow our money. You cannot, first of all, in the United States, you cannot be in the United States. You work so hard, extremely so hard. And at the end of the day, if you don't have a job, then you become homeless. When you are in a place where the system shows you that having a business is a great um, item to have, or it's a great path to follow, buying assets. Because, so for example, a lot of places where we bought land, right? Those guys bought that land about 10, 15 years ago. They were buying land for then $1,500, right? $1,500. That land now is $19,000 per acre. All they did was keep it and buy it, make money for them. It's made money for them over the years. If you were making the same money then, and let's say you increase 10% with the people who bought the land, you still can't afford the land right now. because it's more than 10 times itself, right? 1,500 times 10 actually is 15,000. It's going for 19,000, right? So Sylvester, there has to be I don't know, it's hurtful to say, but there has to be a rude awakening where people feel the pain so badly that they take a better precaution. I remember 2008, right? It was painful. And a lot of people acted like, they have learned their lessons. But today, everybody's so relaxed and they're waiting for the government to maybe give them something to put in their pockets so they could be okay. This generation, sorry, this government coming up now, they're not doing that. They are not going to be giving anybody no free money. If you want to depend on the system, then you are in for a surprise because you will be hurt. So anybody who has any money now, diversify your portfolio. You don't have to buy a new car right now, or you don't have to buy a new house. If you have a place you're staying, stay there and try to let it help you grow. How does growing your money happen? For people who could take risk, I'm not talking about like family people. There are people who could take risk where they can say, you know what, Airbnb, I could have somebody, a tenant, or I'm not tenant, a guest stay with me so that I could make, a few $100s a month or even thousands. It can be done. That's how you help your money grow. So you are not going to work for that money. It's coming to you. Other things you could do Airbnb, you could do other things. Our people are designed to have so much pride in themselves. Meanwhile, you are dying inside when you could do something. There are apps that will help you make money. So the most famous ones are, Uber, right? Uber, you could run around if you have some kill time and you haven't established a business of yourself, of your own. Go ahead and do some Uber. People are always going to be moving, especially in the areas where you have like a city, live band, restaurants, stuff like that. But hang around there. There's so many ways to make money. But if you're staying home to scream at the government that they need to buy rights, you have to get some money. I'm so sorry. It will be hurtful. So that's my take on it. What do you
Yeah,
think?
just something else to add on to that. Yeah, you government doesn't help anyway. But one thing that you mentioned that I didn't want us to let fly is about austerity. When the government takes austerity measures, those things being called government efficiency, inevitably it produces a depressed economy because what are austerity measures? It means the government is reducing the rate at which it is giving money out to the economy. What do I mean by that? Maybe if they had 20 education programs, they make them 18, okay? What happens to the money that was being used in these two programs? It just now gets tied back, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm,
once that money is tied back, because the existence of money is actually, to a large degree, very illusionary. It just depends on how fast is the money moving in the economy. So if there are austerity measures, technically there is a chokehold on the money flow. So if you're waiting for government uh, austerity and efficiency
mhm.
to make uh, things better, you might wait a long time and it might not even come around. Because think about it. If there's not enough money going to people who work, there's not enough money buying certain goods or certain items, how are you going then to be able to have more money? Because more money means more money circulating. Like even if the economy says it said is a $3.9 trillion economy in California, it
Mhm.
doesn't mean there are banknotes worth $3.9 million in California. It
Very
just
true.
means that the money in California is circulating so many times and in big volumes, and it's making that. So if there's a chokehold in that, how then do we expect growth on one hand and austerity on another? Those are questions we have to ask ourselves. And as you say, the government is not your savior. The government just
No,
provides uh, policies to help you survive. Not
right.
even to make you do well, to make you survive. That's how I look at it. Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to add.
Yeah. And I think that we should get into the habits. Matter of fact, before I say that, how many Asians do you see or have you ever seen? And this is a question for you directly, Sylvester. How many Asians have you seen in these United States that depend on the government?
Hmm. I've never really thought about it because of.
Because they made it to make sure it's not a topic of discussion, right? How many of them do you see in a homeless shelter, right? There are things that are should be by default automatically a cultural habit, right? Um, in our situation, we've come, like I've always said, we came to basically enjoy ourselves, not really build. And I'm talking about the African people. We came to enjoy ourselves and drink fresh water, relax, nothing out of the ordinary. We didn't come to build empires or become governors or huge political figures. We leave that. If we really want to do it, we'll go back home. That's why when you see a lot of us who are trying to get into politics, the concern for the politics is back home. Somebody will live here to say, let me, I'm going to run for MP back home, right? Or I'm going to do this back home. Because they don't aspire to do it here. They will take money, get donations, and go back to Africa. Like, think about it. Can you even imagine that this is a culture we've agreed to tolerate? Because that's what happens. If Asians come out to do anything about politics, they're doing it right here. They could support people back there, but they're not leaving here to go there. This is where they stay. They're just like Africans who've decided to live two lives. What do I mean? You have money, you make $100,000, let's say, just just for an example purposes. You make $100,000, right? About 75 is what you take home, about 75. Then your expenses. But where does the second life come in? We use part of that money that we've earned to go back to Africa to build a house, mansion, or send cars back home. So you really are making $100,000, but you're actually not enjoying it. You're actually spending probably maximum, if on a good year, probably $50,000, if that. The rest goes to Africa. You go there, then when you're here, you cannot really invest as a $100,000 person because you're more concerned with what people in Africa are saying than what your mission in life should be. What should your mission in life be? Come here, grow up, follow the system, get a good education, good understanding of your surroundings. Be an American if you are in this country. Do the American things. That's not what we do. We focus on, and this is a clean criticism. It's clean. I'm not trying to um, make anyone feel like they are not worth it. No, it's just the way we've been designed to think. Instead of the first part, what we want to do is come say hi to our parents here or back home if they're back home and send them everything that we have that might be extra. We are not using that extra things to build our empire here. We're using that extra thing to give everyone back home. So at the end of the day, the next year you have to go back working like you were the year before. You haven't accomplished anything because your money couldn't make money for you because you didn't have enough money to buy some land like the other guy who bought for 1900 or 1500. You can't because you've spent that money either, oh, my brother or my sister or my mom needs a car. I have to be the one to send them the car, right? Um, Now if you met like if you have so a lot of things we need to have, they are there, but we just don't utilize it. Let's say you have a financial advisor, right, Sylvester, and you decide, look, I want to plan out my life for the next 10 years, right? And I'm going to get your expertise on this, Sylvester. If you have a financial advisor and you say, okay, look, I want to be able to provide something for my parents back home. I need to be able to walk enough to buy them a car or finish building the house they were building or the house I was building. But I need to have a plan on that so that by year two, I can now start building my portfolio, whether real estate or buying a business or something, right? So talk to me about how a financial advisor would help guide you through this so that you don't spend money unnecessarily or be in the habit of sending money back home every single time for a project that maybe would never grow or make you money or anything. Over to you, Sylvester.
I will start it this way, and then I will come to just an allegory or an illustration. For example, Emeka, you have two options. Spend the same amount of money to invest in land here or invest in Nigeria. Let's start with the land, personal investments that you talked about, then we come to helping family. It depends on what your desired outcome is, right? But what I would find to be concerning is when you are doing it just because of what people are saying, you want people to say you have property and you have stuff like that, and that's fine. But look at the costs of investing. Actually, the best way I can put it, sometimes your investments are very emotional things. They mean something to you. They are like your children. But that investment decision process should be made as less emotional as possible. The investment should be emotional. If it's not emotional, you won't do it.
Mhm, mhm.
But the decision-making process, look at these two things. And I like an example of, let me take a very simple example. You want enough land to keep goats in Kenya and maybe sell the meat to the UAE, or you want to keep goats in the US and still sell to the same market. Before you make that decision, have you analyzed the costs of running this thing in the country where you want to invest, whether it's Nigeria, Kenya, Zimbabwe, or even South Africa? And have you compared that to the cost of doing the same thing here, right?
Mhm.
And why we are saying this, these are very important for people who are already here and even people who desire to come here, right?
Yeah, yes, true.
So you have to always be analytical. No, for example, if you are to keep 10,000 goats in the US in, say, 20 acres, you will need just one worker and a
Mhm,
few guard dogs to
mhm,
keep the coyotes away and other wild animals.
mhm, mhm.
And with a good fence, you are guaranteed 100% no goat is getting lost. The same number, you will need herders, you will need security, you will need a lot of things done in the
Where?
farm.
Please say the difference so they will know. The same,
Okay,
yeah.
here
Mm. In
you
the United
actually,
States.
and in the United States, if you look at land prices critically, land is just about the same prices here as they are in Kenya. In some
Mhm,
areas, they're even cheaper. But now the cost, I tell people don't get too emotional about just the first cost. Always look at the entire cost of the project. If you're keeping like animals, cattle, goats, everything is a daily headache. You have to talk to these people every day. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Things will get lost here. You only have to guard against wild animals. And when it comes to even the slaughtering and exporting process, you just have to need, you just need to give the butchery an order, pick 100, go butcher, the package shipped, you wait for your money. Very straightforward. So you have to look at the costs of doing business, right? Now, on the other hand, in Africa, with that number of goats, you have a lot of herders you will need, even if it's fenced. You need a lot of security over there. Maybe every corner you have a watchtower. Uh, a lot of also bottlenecks in the processes or that exportation process licenses and stuff like that. But here, everything is straightforward. So, bottom line, know what your costs are exactly. Then you make a decision. Secondly, if it's you're doing it here and maybe in the next 20 years, you look at your age and the next 20, 30 years you are here, it will even feel better to have your investments where you can have a hand and you can check on it regularly and you can make decisions,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So consider that one too. Uh, Finally, I go to the issue of, and we have all fallen for this. So this is not an attack on anyone. We are still learning. I'm personally still learning about it.
Yeah.
Trying to be the village hero or
Yeah.
trying to be the family hero. Oh,
Yeah.
your mom needs a car. In fact, nobody needs anything from you in Africa except school and college going people, school going children and college going people. They might need help with school fees. They might need help with this and that, but nobody else needs anything. Those are things they want. You don't tell me your brother needs an iPhone. He just wants an iPhone. You don't tell me your mother needs a car. I mean, she's okay using public transport and stuff like that. And I don't mean to trivialize your desire to contribute to these people's life. But as a financial advisor, what I will tell you is that if you are in America, you have flown a plane one way or the other if you are not born in this country. The first thing you are told in the safety of the plane is that if cabin pressure is lost, what do? Even if you are traveling with children, you put on your mask first.
First.
You, even if you
First.
have your children,
Mhm.
before you help your children. So the idea there is that if you don't help yourself to where you are stable and you are not losing air, you will not be able to help your children. So you run a risk of losing everyone because you did not help the strongest person. So you being the strongest person financially, first help yourself. Now, look at two people, for example. I choose to work two jobs, send as much money to support my family in Africa as I can. Emeka chooses to work two jobs and takes the first 5 years just investing money from the second job, investing. So in 5 years, all the money Emeka is sending for support, all those freebies or handouts that you are giving, is coming from money generated by his money, the investments, right? For me, I'm doing it from money that I'm working for. And maybe Emeka set up an annuity or a trust fund that can even support these people. What happens if tomorrow Emeka and I drop dead? I will have misled my people to put them in a lifestyle that is not sustainable. But if you had put an annuity or a trust fund to keep funding these people, even if you have relatives or charity cases that are going to school, they will sustain that life even after you die. That is what is meant by support the strongest. So if you are the strongest part of the chain, you ensure you are standing on solid ground and then you help the other people. Because if you try to help people when you are standing on quicksand, you will all sink. Why do I emphasize that? We have all been victims to this. We have fallen for this and we still do. So I would say it's a lifetime of learning. Just try to ensure every time your mind is clear, try to see how you can save yourself before you save others. Yeah.
Very good. And I'm under the impression that a financial advisor will take most of the emotions away from you so that you can make a decisive, correct move, right? So thank you for saying that. I think that with that being said, we jump into our next topic, which is the teachers program for United States. Um, so as you know, we last week we spoke about the teachers program and how and what we intend to do and how to grow that space. It seems that there are a lot of people who are trying, they are teachers. There are people who are teachers, the people who want to be teachers overseas in Africa. But there is a blockade of funding, which we all know, because they cannot move as they would want to. Because if the funding was there, it will be facilitated much better. So, Sylvester, you tell me, what ideas do you have? I know we touched on this a little bit last week. What ideas do you have? How do you think we should go about this? Because we get a lot of calls, we get a lot of messages, emails from people who are in Africa who want to come through the teachers program because they give them an H-1B visa. And that visa is the same they give all these technology professionals who are coming to the United States. And the good thing about it is they could come with their families, right? But that whole process is really expensive. So if we are, so we have a program you and I discussed, and I was wondering if you could elaborate on it. What do you think we can use, or should we proceed to be able to get this to get into better gears to help us out for this teacher program that we have in Africa to come bring people here?
Thank you for that. Again, I try to look at it from a business sense because at the end of the day, I want to overemphasize here that money matters are hard. People struggle. Secondly, what you need to appreciate is a lot of these people are told, okay, do this exam, pay this much. Like there's a program you pay $1,500. Now, the question I would like to ask you, Emeka, if somebody is doing so well that they can afford to pay $1,500 for a program, why do they really want to come here? The
Because
ones,
yeah,
the ones who can afford that are already comfortable where they are. They don't want to come here.
yeah,
The people who want to come here have their own struggles. They have the ambition, but they don't have the means, right?
yes,
So this is how I would look at it. And people have invested in this thing. So if any African or African experts want to be involved in this thing in a meaningful way, then you build it in a business model. It will help, but it is meaningful and it is reasonable, and you don't even have uh, to charge the individuals who are just looking
really,
for jobs.
okay,
What I would do, step number one, is to negotiate directly with the school districts, right?
yes,
Because why do you want to give people teachers if they don't need them? So you go talk to the school districts, get the school districts that have uh, teacher shortages, and they are very, very many in the US, right?
yeah,
So you start right from there and you discuss with every school district. Say you go within the Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex, and you find that 20 school districts have teacher shortages totaling, I'm just throwing figures out there, totaling
100. That's fine.
100.
Yeah,
Let's start with a
yeah.
modest figure.
It's way
And
more
then,
than that, but let's just.
yes, let's work with 100.
Mm.
And then you ask them, okay, what deal do you have? How do you finance teacher recruitment, because this is a job, this is a process. So how do you finance your teacher recruitment? Okay, we go through agencies, we can hire direct, and these are the conditions, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what would you be willing to spend to relocate a teacher from, say, Africa to come here and teach? You see, this is honest, plain business negotiation. They give you a figure. Now, this figure has to cover these people end to end. So what do you do on your part? You ensure that you are thorough with your interviews. You have a very good sifting process so that the school district is getting value for their money. And you also ensure that you are complying with the labor regulations of the country. And being a placement agency, you will not have, if it's placement, you will not have to incur permanent costs. You will incur temporary costs, like where if you have the muscle, you are lending to these people in the process before the school district reimburses for the stuff you are given them. So you are basically lending these people money, which upon being paid for the placement, then you recover your expenditure.
Mhm.
Granted,
Mhm.
if you model it as a business, you must also acknowledge that it is risky. You can't lose your money as an investor.
I
But
was going to get to that. Yeah.
yes, anyone
So,
tells you that
yeah,
you're going to invest in anything that you cannot lose money, they are probably lying.
yeah.
But
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt.
mm,
Please, can you elaborate on? So here was this is my idea. So the
mm,
African expats would come in to do a full expense for whoever's
mhm,
to the United States.
mhm,
That will be, I mean, at least $10,000 per person, or about,
mhm,
let's just say, maybe $8,000. So I wanted you to talk to us about the risk that might be involved, or how do we make sure that's done in the best interest of our investment, right? Because we have in our group we have about almost 950 people who are interested in coming. All of
mhm,
them are not teachers by profession,
mhm,
but they want to
mhm,
convert into being teachers because that's the best way they could come into the country. Um, will you suggest, so two questions. Will you suggest that we invest in people who are not teachers and bring them over here or work on them to come here? Or do we get the best quality candidates from, let's say, existing schools that have teachers who are really qualified, where if we had a vetting process where they are being vetted in Africa with all the verification that we can trust, we should invest in those kind of people. And um, if we did, what kind of risk are we going to face if we choose to go the ladder? Meaning, let's just bring anybody in here just because they want to come and they have a nice promissory note that they're going to be of best behavior. Or do we go for real quality people so that we'll make sure that for the factor of safety, we know we're actually bringing a teacher here that will actually come to serve in the United States, bring in great behavior, great everything that the United States will appreciate and love what they are saying to encourage them to come more. So, two questions. What side do we go, and what risk are we incurring if we try to do the other way around? Go ahead.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, I'm in consultancy, but my first experience was accounting. All auditors are recruited from a pool of accountants, or they are trained as a pool of accountants. One thing I learned when I left college back in the day is that audit firms don't just recruit accountants only. They recruit engineers, they recruit teachers, they recruit everybody. But at least they look for one thing. Are you teachable? Are you coachable? do you have that burning desire to succeed in that field? And that is why we now have to be humble. By being humble, I mean we acknowledge what we don't know and we engage the professionals, people, an experienced teacher or somebody who has been hiring teachers,
Mm-hmm.
if they see a teacher, whether you are a trained teacher or you are just somebody with a degree in a different field,
Mm-hmm.
and they see a teacher and they engage them and they talk to them, they will tell you so and so is a teacher, so and so is not. So we have to find someone who has that teacher instinct within them and they have the passion
To
and the
vet
desire.
them. Yeah.
So the hiring process should not be teachers versus non-teachers. It should be a process where you are giving every individual unbiased equal chance to go through the process, the vetting process, so you can see that one, you show them the school culture of the United States. They understand the kind of children they will deal with. So if it's too tough for them, you save that money even before they leave the continent. You have only paid for the uh, which is a
Program.
business expense. You have
Yeah.
only paid for them to be verified and vetted and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on the other hand, you have saved on the air ticket. Instead of somebody coming here, they work for 2 months, and you literally have to buy them a ticket to go back because you see that it's a bad fit for them and it's not good for them. So that burning desire to succeed in that field and their general teachability index, because it's better to get somebody with deep knowledge in chemistry and maths, is not a teacher, and train them to teach when they have the passion than get um, a crack squad kind of a teacher in that same physics and mathematics, but they don't have it in it to endure those kind of classrooms. So first, proper culture preparation, proper vetting process. But if I'm running the process, if I'm to run the program, I will not be biased as to teachers versus non-teachers, but I will be very, very clear that we have a process that prepares people adequately for what to expect and also detects that desire to stay the course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how about the risk?
Now, the risk here is every investment will have expenses that you will incur, but you will not recover. So that's where you have to either make these professionals partners, where now their hourly charges are very affordable, or you make it a process where the preliminary steps, like especially the soft skills or the that passion and desire can be detected early enough before they go through the other process. So the risk is there that you will incur some expenses, but the person will not be a match, which is a normal business risk and a normal business process. So I would not even call it a risk, but in everything, there's the chance that you will get somebody, they'll not turn out as you expect. So the only risk is that in the vetting process, you misread somebody and they get here and they can't survive, then you lose that money. But now that risk can be mitigated for investors by ensuring uh, that what you did
Mm-hmm.
during the vetting process, right, can be factored in the costs of loss that could happen when you are agreeing with the school district on your placement costs. Because every business is like that. There are
Yeah. Yeah.
even potters, there are pots that will be broken in transport if you run
Get
a
to,
poultry farm,
oh, yeah.
some eggs will be broken in transport. So when you are doing your pricing, you have to factor that one in.
Yeah.
So risk is there. However, I believe there are not risks that cannot be mitigated with the right planning and process mapping. Yeah.
And this is why we have a lot of people just stuck in also in Africa because spending, like I said, $10,000 and for one person, and you are afraid of the risk that it could happen. It's another thing where investors just say, I don't want to do it. I'd rather just give those people, $50 to go have a nice lunch with their family and do whatever they need to do. But I don't want to get involved in, big investments like this because we know the risk factors might be just too much. So I think right now we have something planned. Do we have anyone in Africa who can help do the vetting process? Do we have someone who could go and find these people? How are we going to go about that? What have we uh, gathered so far that can help us in this process? Because if we are going to sponsor someone to come to the United States, there has to be a middle person or liaison in Africa to help us because sometimes the timing difference in America versus Africa is probably just a little annoying. So do we have any point of contact people that we can talk to or they could talk to if they are really interested in going through this process? Mr. Sylvester. Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, I've been a very fortunate person. I've met some really good people in the process of my education and just normal interaction with people asking questions. So at the moment, if uh, African experts is to invest in this or get a pool of people who really understand it, because this is the crossroad between desiring to do one of the things Success Africa showed up in my lips.
Yeah.
African experts. Yeah. One of the biggest reasons you want African experts wants to create a good linkage between capital in the US and human resource in Africa, and just create a platform where people can have a continuous mindset growth and personal financial growth. And I like that. So this kind of program is a crossroad between those two. If you invest in this kind of program, you are kind of killing two birds with one stone. You are running the side of helping people move here, but you're also making money for yourself. So going back to the person I would entrust to create a panel and do this is somebody I've introduced to you partially. I will do more. Maybe next time we'll invite him and he can talk to the rest of the group. This guy is a professor at a university in Kenya. He has worked in the United States as a mathematics teacher.
Mm.
He went through a similar program, so he can tell people exactly what to expect. And he now runs international relations for this university. So in terms of what we are looking at, from understanding the teachers to understanding the program to being somebody who can mentor people, he has all this packaged in one. So it's the kind of person that would be good to have a conversation with,
Mhm.
uh, see how we can maybe just ingrain him in the African expert system or whatever we are investing in. To me,
Mhm.
that would even work better than retaining such a person as a consultant or an expert. Because during the early stages, you're not making money, but if you engage a consultant or an expert, you want to start paying them immediately. The danger of that is that now the money you would have put in the program is going to fund someone running the program just like you.
Yeah.
So, but there's someone with your leave. I can talk to him and see when we can introduce him to the rest of the group so he can really lay it down. And you see, I'm a big proponent of things that are self-sustaining. And things are only self-sustaining if they are structured to make money for
Mhm.
profit and fund those very operations is
And funding,
better
yes,
than, yes,
because it's going to cost money.
going the
Yeah.
charity way.
It
Yeah,
is. It
yeah,
is going to
yeah.
cost money. Yeah. Okay.
I hope that answers your question. I don't want to give too much detail until I
Correct.
talk to the guy, and now when introducing him to the group,
Yeah.
I can give you guys a longer background. Yeah.
Yeah. Let him be the one to say more. So I think that would be good because we could probably write up a make a flyer to let people know that we'll be speaking to him because I think a lot of people will have questions about it. I know some viewers here are here. They haven't really asked any question. I think they're just enjoying the conversation. um, but I think if we can get that process started, it's just heartbreaking that we have a lot of people who are willing. Like I said, in the group, in the WhatsApp group we have more than almost 950 people, almost 900. I mean, this is just a snippet of people who are really trying to do something to come. So, like we've talked about this for a long time. This issue of just waiting for other races to come and bail out people out. I think it's enough. I think it's time for us to put in the work to get this done together, and that's what we're going to try to achieve. I think. That's probably what we want to settle down on today to finish. Now remember we had uh, Mr. Kevin who was going to talk to us about AI. I think we'll make a flyer for him and have people know that the discussion of AI has to be taken more seriously, Sylvester, because that is where everything is going. A lot of the things we're doing here, I don't even have to do the editing. AI is doing everything. Before I would pay somebody, overseas to help us do the editing. And AI is doing everything. So why not be inclined to learn how it works or the importance or just hear somebody speak about it? Let it fine tune how you talk. If you remember, and I know you probably could give some examples, the cell phone, right? If you remember the cell phone, people didn't adapt to it quick. They were afraid. But when they found out that that's going to be the future, they knew they had to find a way to learn how to use the cell phone and its features. And now this is for most people, sorry, for a lot of people, a money maker for them. This is all how they make their money. So AI has to be introduced into this deep conversation because you can use AI and run a business without anybody else's input. So we are going to try and create a flyer as soon as possible, maybe for next week, because the greatest way to get away from poverty is by proper education, right? When people understand and know what they need to do to get out of the issue they're in, they do their best to learn it. So we'll talk to Mr. Kevin next week, and hopefully, by God's grace, we will be able to be successful in getting people to get a better understanding. It's all about understanding, right? Like we are, like these places, we discuss, we understand, right? We discuss, we understand, right? So apart from that, I think that's what we have for today. And forgive me, Mr. Sylvester, but tell me what you think.
I, I'm basically good. I think it's one step at a time. At the end of the day, you talk about other races, and remember, we are venturing into new territory compared to how long other races have held their systems. Africa is just a toddler because our systems were interrupted by colonialism. Now look at cultures like Japanese and Chinese that have not been interrupted for close to
200 years.
5,000
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah.
These are very old traditions, but not interrupted for like 2,000 years. Look at how they do their agriculture. Look how they organize their
Oh my
cities,
God.
everything. So we should not feel any form of shame or embarrassment, but let us not use it
A
as a
lazy tactic.
clutch.
Yeah,
Yes, as a
a lazy tactic.
justification for
Right.
not getting out there.
Making the effort
And
to speed up. Right.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let us not use it as a failure excuse, but we can just use it as fuel for our success. So all that fear, everything, let us turn it into fuel. And I don't say the things I say because I want to sound smarter than anyone or to prove that I am, because I know for sure I am not. I just happen to know maybe something in an area you have not ventured into. So whenever we come here, you have to know that I will learn from you as much as you will learn from me. And if
Absolutely.
there's anything you know that can benefit the continent, right? Just the continent as a starting point, share it. And Emeka, you know, even when we were in some of these conferences, Atlanta, New York,
Yeah.
whenever we met together and the subject was Africa, it was not about Ghana or Cameroon or
Yeah.
Congo or Kenya or Nigeria. It was just Africa. And there's something beautiful that is coming up with that. So anything that can help the continent, let us do it. I know we really enjoy tearing down our governments, and I don't mean it in a bad way. And I'm not here to say they don't deserve it,
Mm.
right? But at a personal level, I have decided that, okay, enough people are doing that tearing, right?
Yes,
I, I,
absolutely.
I can as well sit it out. So
Yeah.
we can find the right
Be
places to tear
productive.
it. Yes. But if we find a way to help instead of criticize, let us do it. Because at the end of the day, it's the work we do that makes a difference. It's not
Yes.
the work we say someone didn't do. So that would be what I would close with.
Right. And yeah, before we leave, I think I wanted to also say, you see, there are people who probably cannot leave Africa, but it doesn't mean they cannot be productive there. So I think if I could ask Mr. Kevin, for those people who can't make it out, how can they be able to have a sustainable business that will help them survive while they're in Africa? Because there are people who are going to stay there, right? There are people who are going to need to stay there just because probably their parents are too sick to travel, or their siblings can't leave, or they are just he's in charge or she's in charge of so many siblings that she cannot just up and leave, or he cannot just up and leave, right? So there has to be a way. It could work. It could make it. So we will try and talk to him about that. So for everyone who's here on live, I know a lot of people listen to this after the live session, but just know that we'll bring in an AI professional who will talk to us about AI. Now, guys, it is important. It's important that you get to understand what's happening. Um, if you are sitting down just to trust that the system is going to give you a job tomorrow instead of you creating a job, you might be in for a shocker. The world is changing. A lot of things are not going on like they used to. And that's why you see a lot of 19-year-old, 20-year-olds becoming millionaires, because they've understood that this is that time to shine. They don't have to be in a school that teaches them the same thing they taught people like us who are, millennials, right? What are we, Sylvester? Millennials, because the Gen Zs are after us, right?
Actually,
What are
I'm
we?
actually X. You are a millennial, but I'm
Yes.
X. Yes, just
So
about there. Yeah.
we are way you can't be teaching people the same thing you just taught us. The times have passed. That's what I was trying to say. There's a new way of thinking. So I want everyone to try and start adapting that. If you don't know about AI and you're afraid, it's okay to be afraid, but try and start implementing little steps. So that's our discussion for today. And Mr. Sylvester, please take us out. We good?
All right. Thank you, everyone, for everything. Thank you for attending. It's a forum where we want to just share ideas, pass ideas around, lift one another up, words of encouragement. If you have any subject matter you think we can discuss and help our motherland, please share it with the maker. Let us work on it. Let us keep sharing the knowledge. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.